So it is happening all over again. President Biden is threatening the United States, and some say he will never be able to dig his way out of this gaping hole. Now, I'm going to address what's going on, but what you need to understand is this is something that has been going on for a little while. We have seen millions and millions of people push for a different solution, but nothing has come from it. But what I can tell you is that millions and millions of people are extremely upset and furious at President Biden and many Biden administration officials simply because of their stance in this. So I'm going to address this in just a moment. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So why are so many people furious with President Biden and his administration? Well, it's actually because of something that has been going on for about 3 months. And that is this war between Israel and Hamas. Now, I don't want to get into the specifics of the war. That will be for a different video. But the reason why so many people are upset is because President Biden continues to support Israel. Even though we are seeing tens of thousands of people lose their lives in Gaza. These are civilians, innocent people, men, women, children, elderly, every single one of them. Their lives are in question. Now, here's where things are at this time. So many people are upset with President Biden that some are simply walking away from his administration. Just look at this. The second administration official resigns in protest of Biden's support for Israeli war in Gaza. This is the second Biden administration official. And what we continue to hear is that some are considering leaving, but they're being talked out of it or to leave in specific times. What they don't want is for a bunch of administration officials to leave at the exact same time, because then that could scare people. Again, we are in an election year. That's important. But many people ask, should we even be supporting Israel at this time? Well, let's talk about it. Why are we potentially being threatened? Well, we're being threatened by multiple different groups. We're being threatened by the Yemen Houthis. And the reason why we're being threatened by the Yemen Houthis isn't because we are a direct threat. No. The reason why we're being threatened is because we are jumping into the Red Sea to protect the shipping corridor. But the problem is, why are we really there? We shouldn't be in the Middle East. We shouldn't be in the Red Sea, according to the Houthis and different Iranian-backed militias. We should be out of that area. Well, here's what I can tell you. Right now, the Houthis are very upset that we're there. They do not like that U.S. Navy helicopters are, shooting their boats and taking the lives of some of their crew. As of right now, we know at least 10 crew members have lost their lives. These are Houthi crew members. So that obviously makes them upset. So that's one threat against the United States. Another one, which just has to do with Israel, is Iran. Iran has had some issues with the United States for years, so it's nothing new. But the reason why this is turning into a bigger issue at this time is simple. Iran is tired of the United States butting into things that they believe we should not be in. For instance, why are we supporting Israel? Why would we attempt to send them $14 billion, which we did try to do? Republicans passed that bill. It was rejected by the Senate. President Biden never signed the bill, and it simply stands there. But Democrats didn't want to do that because where the money was coming from. Republicans were going to pull it from the IRS. That was the only reason why that money did not go to Israel. So at this time, there's still discussions that potentially we will send money to Israel. But another thing, President Biden's support of Israel, this is what many people are saying is hurting his polling numbers. There's too many people losing their lives in Israel. There's no reason why we should be supporting Israel at this time. We should be supporting the Palestinian people, the people of Gaza, ensure that they have a safe place to live. As of right now, it is not that. But I bring all this up because President Biden continues to push funding for Israel. There needs to be funding for Ukraine and funding for Israel. Those are the two things he's mentioned. And just recently, he's talked about funding for the U.S. border. But out of all those things, two things make Iran a little bit upset. And the problem is, Iran is potentially talking about additional attacks. And it could mean on the United States. Let's just read this. I want to show you this for a second. So this is an article from, I think, the Associated Press. But it says, the crisis in the Middle East looks like it might be spiraling out of control. The Red Sea and the Suez Canal are now largely blocked to container ships after Houthi rebels have been targeting ships. Suez traffic is reportedly down 28% in the past 10 days, and the rates for shipping containers has risen 173%, with tensions rising after Israeli strikes in Lebanon and in Iran after a blast next to the grave of General Qasem Soleimani. The recent attacks on shipping might be just the beginning. That is the concern. And this is something Pentagon officials have warned President Biden on. That these attacks, these little drone attacks that they're sending explosives into military bases and at U.S. troops, this could just be the beginning of everything. But President Biden never stepped up his attacks, was never really serious. Well, this is part of the problem. And here's another report from the Associated Press. Look at this. It says Houthis launch sea drone to attack ships hours after U.S. and allies issue a final warning. The key word is final warning. Okay, that's the key. Is it really the final warning before we decide to step up and we take military action? Well, it might be, but we don't know. That is, again, part of the issue. And let me show you this one. This is from CNN Politics. It says U.S. seeks to contain Iranian proxies as concerns about a wider Middle East war breaking out increase. There's a lot of concerns that this war in the Middle East is not contained. There's no way we can contain this now because there's too many outside pieces that are now involved, the United States being one of them. If this is the case, well, it's concerning. And the reason why it's so concerning is because we don't know how far this is going to go. But what I can tell you is the United States has shown their hand. We are showing that we are more concerned now than ever, simply because we are now sending more people into the Middle East to talk, to negotiate. Just look at this right here. Anthony Blinken, he's going to head to the Middle East again as fears of a regional conflict are surging. This is an article from yesterday. These are the things that we are facing. So many people are concerned. The United States is concerned because this conflict is escalating. Tensions are increasing. This doesn't even have to do with China or Russia or our border policy or our border security. This is just Israel. That is it. And there's so many issues, so many conflicts that now the Biden administration is considering other alternatives. Maybe we don't support Israel. But here's the thing right here. What we are hearing, here I want to read this to you. It says, with President Biden supporting Israel, it is definitely hurting his polling numbers here in the United States. We are less than a year away from a presidential election, and experts believe that President Biden wants to provide the support for Israel now, as quickly as possible, so that he can then go and change the public's perception of the attacks in his favor as we get closer to that election come November. Think about that for a second. That President Biden is willing to do whatever he can to solve this problem today, which will make him look bad, but then he wants to try to flip the script, change your perspective of the whole Israel war. I don't know if it works, but all I can tell you is, according to experts, it is threatening the United States, both here on U.S. soil and abroad, simply because there's too many countries, and especially these Iranian proxies, that are against the United States. So, that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. That is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.